Being your slave, what should I do but tend upon the hours and times of your desire? I have no precious time at all, nor services to do till you require, nor dare I chide the world without end hour, whilst I, my sovereign, watch the clock for you, nor think the bitterness of absence sour when you have bid your servant once adieu. Nor dare I question with my jealous thought where you may be, or your affairs suppose, but like a sad slave stay, and think of naught, save where you are, how happy you make those. So true a fool is love, that in your will, though you do anything, he thinks no ill. Okay, Sonnet 57. So at first I thought that sonnet was really fucked up. So many of these sonnets are sincere and kind of, I guess the early sonnets, I think, are closer to the style of the time in this, like, the sonnet, the poet is self-deprecating and is the inferior of this wonderful, objectively beautiful, wonderful object. And so there's these kind of recurring themes of, I'm not worthy of this beautiful gift to the earth, and I'm, that kind of disparity between the poet and the subject is certainly present in the earlier sonnets and then non-Shakespearean sonnets in that style. And so when you read this one in that, thinking that it's going to be in that style, it's really fucked up, because it's, I mean, the text of this sonnet is saying, hey, that's what love is, right? I mean, you are so wonderful that I'm here to serve you, and whatever you need, I'm here no matter what. You can sleep with whoever you want. It doesn't matter to me because I love you. Like, that's fucked up. That's real fucked up. And so as I spoke it, you can't say that. I mean, I don't know, maybe, and again, it does make me think, like, I don't know, I can't read this and not think Shakespeare's being sarcastic asshole. And it's so much more fun to read it that way. That, to read it in the tone of, like, okay, honey, yeah, you don't need to tell me where you are. It's fine. I don't need to know. That kind of, like, because it's funny, because I guess both takes are relevant to the world of relationships, because, the self-deprecating, I'm here to serve, you are everything that's good, I am unworthy to be in your presence, that mindset, that's not alien. Like, that's something a lot of people go through at various stages of, emotional and, like, maturity development. Like, I associate that with more like a middle schooly, juvenile child, like when you're developing crushes, that's a thing to, like, be like, oh, that person's so out of my league, like, and then I hope that as you grow up as a human, you learn that that's not how people should treat each other, and that you should, in looking for a partner, find someone that treats you and considers you an equal. And you should feel the same. You should think of them as an equal. You shouldn't think that you're, privileged to walk upon the ground that they stand on. Like, I mean, not to say that they're not great. Like, yeah, that's typically how it works, right? When you fall in love with someone and you admire someone, it's because of all these positive qualities that you like and admire and can quantify and say, no, these are reasons I love this person. But it shouldn't be that master slave, or like that, again, like, that's just messed up. So as I was writing it down, and I was reading it. At first I was kind of just disgusted with it, but then as you read it, I can't say these words and not be passive aggressive. Like it naturally kind of comes out. So this is a perfect example of like Shakespeare, while the text, if you read it, you can, depending on your tastes, appreciate a lot of the beauty of the language just by reading it on a page. But really, you need to hear it or say it to appreciate all the depth to it, I guess. So this is a perfect example. I would never have really gotten to that point until I said the words out loud. And I like the sonnet more for it. Who's to say what he meant? I like to think that this is Shakespeare being passive aggressive, because that's, to me, a stronger choice than self-deprecating master slave. Yeah, no. So yeah, Sonnet 57, that was fun. So it's been a couple weeks since I did one of these. It's kind of been a crazy busy summer for me. But I think I should be able to do another one of these next week. I've been going through the Henry VI BBC. I'm partway through part 2, which I'm learning more as I get through because I've seen the Richard III piece with Benedict Cumberbatch, and they condensed the 3 Henry VI histories into 2 2-hour movies, essentially. And they conflated a bunch of characters. I think I mentioned this in a previous sonnet, that they conflated Suffolk and Somerset a little bit, but there was still the character of Suffolk. But because there's this romance between Queen Margaret and Suffolk, but they give that to Somerset instead, even though there is a Suffolk character. So they do some weirdness with some of that stuff. So it's too bad, because I feel like, I was lucky enough to learn Henry VI Part 3 in one of my Shakespeare classes, and the way that class was structured is that we all got up and spoke it. We would cut sections of it to, try to get through a play in a week. You hit the highlights, and you benefit from saying it out loud. So you get to really experience how awesome it is. These stories are awesome. And, there is evidence that today's audiences appreciate this kind of drama because Game of Thrones is so successful, and that just rips off the War of the Roses, which is the Henry VI through Richard III Shakespeare's. I mean, George R. R. Martin pulls from all these other literary sources, and I do think he constructs a really compelling drama from all these different places, but there are some of Shakespeare's best work in these histories. Not just these histories. There's the Henry IV, Part 1 and 2, Henry V, and Richard II are all kind of the prequel cycle to this Henry VI Richard cycle. And they're all great. There's some great, really, really, really great prose, verse, characters, stories. And it's just kind of too bad that there's no definitive. Because as much as I like this BBC production, it really is condensed. So I'm going to be on the lookout for a more definitive kind of unabridged version. Maybe there are filmed versions of stage productions, but the histories, it's just tough to do. It's tough to commission 4 full-length Shakespeare plays to be done with the same company, which is how it should be done in terms of, being able to watch this character's progression. And again, I talked about this in one of the previous videos, that there's a market for it. The Marvel I guess we're maybe in Marvel superhero kind of fatigue, but it's undeniable that model has worked in terms of storytelling. I mean, that is a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and it has that interconnected story. And so yeah, it's just kind of too bad. So there's some good performances, and I encourage you to check out the BBC Hollow Crown. It's the season 2 Hollow Crown. Season 1 is the Henry IV, Henry V, and that has a bunch of other actors in it, big actors. Tom Hiddleston, Jeremy Irons, Ben Whishaw, I think. So I have yet to go back to that season 1 and watch those. I don't know the Henry V, Henry IV histories quite as well, but yeah, I encourage you to check out the BBC stuff. But it's not quite the definitive unabridged stuff that I was kind of hoping it would be. But anyway, I've rambled on about all that. So probably end of July I'll do a Henry VI Part 2 sequence. I really want to find a Suffolk piece, or a Margaret piece, and then Henry VI Part 3 in August, and then Richard in September. So that'll be really fun. Thank you for watching. Have a great Sunday.